Where do you want to begin, guys?
I mean, for me, any major international tournament doesn't really get underway until there's a little bit of jeopardy. And so the first couple of days have pretty much gone to script. So to know, I'd barely finished my breakfast, and to see Saudi Arabia beat Argentina is huge, and it feels like the tournament's finally got underway a little bit. And in terms of it being one of the biggest upsets going, I think it definitely ranks up there. What springs to mind for me is Senegal beating France in 2002. So I think France were the 98 World Cup holders at the time, and the Euro 2000 champions. You obviously think of Spain at the 2010 World Cup when they lost to Switzerland in the opening game.
Went on to win the thing.
Went on to win. Germany obviously lost to Mexico in 2018. So it's not unheard of. But I just absolutely love it when everyone's, talking about Messi, potentially Messi's final World Cup, and, all the players are proper geared up for it. And to see them start quite well and then just completely fade was, forgive me, Argentina fans for saying this, but quite amazing to watch.
Yeah, we'll talk much more about Argentina, I'm sure. But let's focus for a second or two on a Saudi Arabia team who were unfancied, to put it mildly, coming into this, Liam. How did Hervé Renard work this football miracle?
I think it's quite interesting tactically. This Argentina team were phenomenal in both World Cup qualifying and the Copa America that they won last summer, doing what they did in the first half, scoring early, not quite shutting up shop, but they're a team that can then manage the game in numerous ways. They had another goal disallowed for offside. They looked like they could have 2 goals. Sorry, they could have had this game really out of sight by half time. Saudi Arabia, very brave, very high line. They didn't have a lot of possession, but by no means were camped in their own box. They were trying to catch them offside. I think they had a record number of offsides. They had more offsides, I think, Argentina than any team in a game at the last World Cup in the first half, which is a crazy comparison. And then, of course, I think you make that moment possible, don't you? Or those 2 goals possible when you keep the scoreline down. You make this a possible reality.
But that first half, then it could have gone very differently. Fine margins. Had Argentina been slightly more on their game, it would have been a very different result. But then I guess you could say that about a lot of football matches, and then came that extraordinary 5 minutes in which Saudi Arabia had their 3 shots on target, 2 of which they scored. So first of all, Al Shehri, looking like Al Shearer, I felt, surging past Christian Romero and then beating Emiliano Martinez with that lovely little, just finding the corner. And then I'm sure you were excited by one of your favourite players, Salim Al-Dawsari.
Features in the radar, so very good inclusion for him there. He's a very good right-footed player. Often plays off the left, likes to cut inside. I think a great description of him is that he's more of a scorer of great goals rather than being a great goal scorer, and that I think really summed it up. Cutting inside and finding the corner like that. He scored their winning goal against Egypt at the last World Cup as well, so he's clearly got the knack now for being a sort of a clutch player for them. So that's a fantastic result.
It was a brilliant goal though, wasn't it? I mean, it was not by any means an easy chance for him.
Not at all. It was fantastic. I can't remember which player it was, but I've seen a quote come out in all the mad celebrations afterwards. I think it was their number 8, whose name escapes me. But he said at half-time, Hervé Renard's team talk made all the players feel like they wanted to eat the grass. And I think it's been translated as essentially that means run into the ground. But the imagery of them, eating grass is quite funny. But I think that just kind of sums up with the energy and fire they came out with, and by what they scored those 2 goals inside 5 or 10 minutes, that just kind of gives you an idea of how much they went for it. And the goal is phenomenal. I mean, the strike itself is impressive, but actually the way he firstly controls the ball, considering it had gone really high up in the air, then shimmies past these players who, as Liam's already mentioned, Argentina's defence has been incredible. They've been on this amazing unbeaten run. To then pluck that shot out right into the far corner past Martinez is certainly very special.
Right. Argentina had about 40 minutes to try and come back from this 2-1 scoreline. But that's something they've not had any practice at for a very long time. Of course, they've been on this incredible unbeaten run. But is it fair to say, without taking anything away from Saudi Arabia, that Argentina's approach to this game, perhaps mentally, wasn't all that it could have been?
I think that's fair. First half, they looked, as they often do, very assured, very quick up the traps, very rocked, evidently, psychologically, by those 2 goals. But I was surprised to see their approach when they were 2-1 down. Lots of crosses into the box, lots of free kicks being rushed. A real lack of patience. They really looked panicked, I guess. They probably weren't. Coaches will say they've got plan A, B, C, D, but I think in their heart of hearts, Lionel Scaloni's not expecting to go 2-1 down. But then a big credit to Saudi Arabia because they defended that box incredibly well. I can't remember who the fullback is that takes a massive whack in the face from defending that. So quite literally bodies on the line, and you saw their celebrations at full time. Yeah, you could see what that result meant.
It certainly felt like Argentina was so confident the ball in behind was going to work, and obviously it did work quite a lot in the first half, that even when they went 2-1 down, it was, if we keep doing this, we're going to score eventually. I even remember on commentary someone saying, there's 20 minutes left. Are they going to get chances? They're going to get in behind, which is maybe a little bit of a lazy thing to say, because if they've caught Argentina offside that many times, well, it clearly was working. But, Liam's touched on it. It just felt like they never expected to go into that position, which is, naive for a coach to do that. So to not kind of have any idea of how to kind of switch up the players. Obviously brought on Julian Alvarez, who did make a little bit of a difference, looked quite positive, but it never fully clicked.
Why wasn't Messi able to make the difference?
I mean, he could have put them 1-0 up after the first 90 seconds or so, couldn't he?
Yeah. He got the penalty, with which they'd taken the lead. But in that final flurry, as you say, so many clearances on the line, some really astonishing bits of defending. But there were chances for him. There was a free kick. There was another moment where the ball was at his feet in the box, and you felt here he'll make that turn, he'll find a bit of space, and then we'll see it. But wasn't to be.
If you like this video, please consider subscribing to the channel.